All right, so we get a 2015, 2016 Dodge Challenger here, 3.6 liter. Um, the concern on this vehicle is a check engine light. The check engine light is a constant. It is a P06 Delta Alpha for the oil pump control solenoid. This has a dual oil pump on the bottom of here, which actuates just with electronic current. But the issue is when you clear the code, if you turn the ignition off for 10 seconds and you turn it back on, the code comes immediately back on. So that's telling us that there's not an issue with the oil, even though beforehand there was 10,000 miles since the customer had their oil change last. We recommend an oil change, obviously, but that didn't fix anything because this is electrical. Disconnecting the sensor down below does not clear the code either, and it does not set a different code either. It still says as the same one. So looking at the wiring diagram on this thing, just to verify if we have an issue with the computer or the sensor itself, the wiring diagram for this is very simple. So the wiring runs the positive side straight from that sensor all the way up through to the PCM. From the negative side, it grounds from that sensor straight to the engine. So it's a pretty relatively simple wiring in that. It doesn't divert to the oil pressure sensor underneath of the intake manifold, so we don't have to go too far and crazy. But with the computer plugged into the car, actuating the oil pump on the scan tool, you can see when it's turned off, it reads 0 volts on the positive side. When it is turned on, first it reads 8 volts, and then after that it reads 11.4. When battery voltage is 12 to 12.2. So we got obviously some resistance going on in there, but where is it coming from? Is it the computer or is it the wiring? It's a 2015-16, so wiring I would be a little bit more hesitant to say that that's an issue, since we don't used to see that on a lot of older cars, but I can't rule it out. So with that being the case, looked at a wiring diagram, and I pulled out the computer, and I found the C2 connector. Look at the diagram, it says pin number 93 right here. Pin number 93. It is a it is a violet and yellow pin. That violet and yellow pin tracks all the way down to there, which is still violet and yellow. We want to test for resistance to see what it's like, so I simply a wire on here, and I probed it on pin number 93. Since it's just one solid wire that runs all the way through, then we can run this wire with the battery connected and treat it as if it's a ground wire, because it doesn't interfere with any other circuits. So I ground that wire out right here, straight at the frame. And then I grounded the other side of that all the way down there at the bottom to right here. The positive side, I just ran straight over to the battery here. So from here, first I will get a reading on my multimeter of these little two to see what the battery voltage is. Because if the battery voltage is about, I'm going to put this down real quick. Because if the battery voltage is 12 volts, then we should be able to see that right here on the multimeter itself. So next we'll want to test for resistance, because even though we're reading 12 volts, it's just an open wire, there's no load on the circuit, so is it an actually good circuit? So we got a pretty high intensity bulb right here. I don't really know what these blue strips on these bulbs do, besides for make it look cool and add a sales point to the bulbs. But so we got our negative side in there. Then we will just add our positive, and we can see the bulb lights up continuously. It doesn't start to fray out or anything, so we know that the wiring in this car is good. It reads 12 volts. We have confirmed that the Resistance is in the PCM itself right here. Now on the PCM2 we would just want to check if any of these pins, it was the tan one, this is C2, if any of these pins like damaged or frayed. I don't see anything missing, but this looks all intact. So we know that the computer has failed, and can recommend that to the customer.